A Course in Miracles, Lesson 238. On my decision, all salvation rests. Father, your trust in me has been so great, I must be worthy. You created me and know me as I am, and yet you placed your Son's salvation in my hands and let it rest on my decision. I must be beloved of you indeed, and I must be steadfast in holiness as well, that you would give your Son to me in certainty that he is safe, who still is part of you and yet is mine, because he is myself. And so, again today, we pause to think how much our Father loves us, and how dear his Son, created by his love, remains to him, whose love is made complete in him. You were never unworthy. Why are you still trying to earn what God created? Every night, long after the final student had left, long after the last note had faded from the concert hall, a man walked through the empty corridors of a prestigious conservatory. He wore the uniform of a custodian. He emptied the wastebaskets, swept the rehearsal rooms, polished the floors, and carefully returned every chair and music stand to its proper place. But there was one room he always saved for last: the main concert hall. At the center of its enormous stage sat a magnificent grand piano. And every night, after finishing his work, the man would remove his gloves, sit at that piano, and play. No audience, no applause, no recognition. Only the man, the piano, and the music he had carried inside himself for years. He dreamed of becoming a student at the conservatory. He watched the students move through the halls during the day, carrying their instruments, discussing their lessons, preparing for recitals. They belonged there. At least, that was the meaning he had given them. And he did not. That was the meaning he had given himself. So he developed a plan. He would work harder, practice longer, study whenever he could, and someday, when he had finally proven that he was talented enough, disciplined enough, and worthy enough, he would apply for admission. Year after year, he cleaned the rooms where he believed worthy people were being taught. Then one night, while he was playing alone, the director of the conservatory entered the concert hall. The man did not see him. He continued playing until the final notes settled into the silence. The director stepped forward and asked, "Why are you still trying to earn your place here?" The man turned around, startled. He looked down at his custodian's uniform. "Because I am not one of the students." The director studied him carefully. "Who told you that?" The man had no answer. No one had actually told him. The students had not told him. The teachers had not told him. The director had not told him. He had looked at the uniform, looked at the work, looked at the years that had passed, and supplied the verdict himself. Unworthy. The director led him out of the concert hall, through the silent corridors, and into the admissions office. He opened an old filing cabinet. Inside was a folder bearing the man's name, and inside that folder was a letter, still sealed, still waiting. The director handed it to him. The man opened it. He had already been accepted. Full scholarship, permanent placement, personally selected by the founder of the conservatory, who had heard him play years earlier. The scholarship had been created specifically for him. His place had already been established. His tuition had already been covered. His name had already been entered into the conservatory's records. Nothing remained to be earned. Look at the case. The man had spent years trying to become worthy of a place that had already been given to him. Every extra hour of work appeared to support the belief that he had not yet earned enough. Every night of secret practice appeared to support the belief that he was not yet ready.
every student he watched became further evidence that they belonged, and he did not. But none of his evidence changed what was written in the founder's records. Father, your trust in me has been so great. I must be worthy. Must. That word does not negotiate. Must establishes certainty. If the founder established the scholarship, the recipient must be worthy of receiving it. If God created his Son, the Son must be worthy. Worthiness is not the result of the Son's performance. It is established by his source. You created me and know me as I am. As I am, not as the frightened personality describes me, not as my uniform identifies me, not as my history measures me, not as guilt remembers me. God knows me as I am. Created establishes that identity was given. The man did not create his place in the conservatory by cleaning its floors.
He did not create the founder's decision by practicing in secret. He did not create the scholarship by opening the letter. Opening the letter allowed him to accept what had already been created for him. On my decision, all salvation rests. Salvation was already there. The scholarship was already there. The founder's decision was already there. The man's name was already there. What remained was his decision. Would he continue believing the uniform, or would he accept the letter? The frightened personality could scrub every floor in the building and still remain frightened. What is a frightened personality going to do but behave as though fear is justified? Give it the responsibility for salvation, and it will turn salvation into another performance, another examination, another standard to meet, another chance to fail, another night of working to prove that it deserves what it believes it does not have. But salvation was never placed in the hands of the frightened personality. The power rests in the decision-making mind. The mind decides whether to keep the letter sealed. The mind decides whether the uniform proves unworthiness. The mind decides whether its private verdict carries more authority than the founder's decision. And yet, you placed your Son's salvation in my hands and let it rest on my decision. That may sound like an enormous responsibility, until the mind recognizes what it is being asked to decide. It is not being asked to create salvation. It is not being asked to manufacture worthiness. It is not being asked to repair what God created. It is being asked whether it will continue arguing against what has already been established. I must be beloved of you indeed. Beloved identifies the condition in which the Son was created. Love did not wait outside the concert hall to see whether the man played well enough. Love did not calculate the number of floors he cleaned. Love did not compare his performance with the other students. The scholarship came from the founder. The identity came from the source. Love established the condition, and love does not change. I must be steadfast in holiness as well. Steadfast, firmly fixed in place, unwavering. The man believed that he stood outside the conservatory's acceptance, yet his name remained firmly fixed inside its records. His perception wandered. The founder's decision did not. His confidence wavered. The scholarship did not. His occupation appeared to change his identity. What had been established remained. That you would give your Son to me in certainty that he is safe, who still is part of you, and yet is mine, because he is myself. Yet, there is the seeming contradiction. The Son's salvation appears to rest upon a decision, yet the Son remains part of God. The man appears to be standing outside his place, yet his place has never been taken from him. He appears to be a custodian trying to become a student, yet the founder knows exactly who he is. The decision does not alter the founder's knowledge. The decision determines whether the man will continue living from his own mistaken verdict. And so again today, the mind pauses to consider how much the Father loves his Son, and how dear his Son, created by his love, remains. Remains. That word closes the file. The Son remains dear. He does not become dear again. The founder did not watch the man working through the night, reconsider the evidence, and revise his decision. The scholarship remained. The acceptance remained. The place remained. The love remained. The Son remains as God created him. Nothing happened to the Son in God's knowledge. The man finally looked down at his custodian's uniform. For years, he had treated it as evidence of what he was. Now he could see that it revealed only the role he had accepted while the letter remained unopened. The uniform had never cancelled the scholarship. His labor had never created his worth. His fear had never changed the founder's decision. His belief in rejection had never produced an actual rejection. He had spent years trying to earn what had already been given, trying to become what he already was, trying to prove what the founder had already established. Salvation is guaranteed by God. Its acceptance rests on a decision. And the decision is not whether God's Son will become worthy, beloved, or holy. The decision is whether the mind will stop arguing that he is not. The letter is already in your hands. Your name is already written inside. The founder's decision has never changed. How much longer will you keep trying to earn what God created?